projections of this industry is $26 billion by 2030. They tend to be a little campy. I found a homeless billionaire husband for Christmas. How to Catch a Silver Fox.
Isn't Cribby gone? Didn't Cribby fucking collapse?
This is the Actor's Guide to the End of the World podcast, where we talk about acting in Hollywood in a way people understand. I'm Ikan Song.
And I am Rian Sheehy Kelly. What's happening,
Back again. What's up, buddy?
Here we are. Another week.
Here we are. Follow us wherever you find your podcast at Actor's Guide Podcast. We're on Substack. We're on YouTube.
We now have video on Spotify.
I know, that's exciting for all our Spotify people out there. Make sure to follow us on all social media at Actors Guide Podcast for fun clips during the week. If you get a chance, leave us a review. If you enjoy the episode, it really helps the podcast get found. Has your agent forgotten your name? Been out of work for a while and need a boost to your clout? Uberazzi. It's like Uber for paparazzi. Now you can enjoy invasive press coverage everywhere you go with a touch of a button.
Getting Dunkin' Donuts in your sweatpants in the morning. Staggering drunk out of a club onto the sidewalk. Getting a Bieber smoothie at Erewhon.
Uberazzi. The only bad publicity is no publicity. Let's get to Odessa A'zion. Odessa A'zion's in the news this week. You know, we gave her a little love last week. She's the lead opposite Timothée Chalamet and Marty Supreme. We kind of having her a moment. She dropped out of her next project, an A24 movie. She was in a project called Deep Cuts. It's based on a novel. She backed out because a lot of controversy in the casting. The role in the novel was originally a Jewish Mexican character. She essentially backed out because she did not want to be part of the whitewashing. So her quote is, "F that. I'm out. I never take a role from someone else that's meant to do it, that should do it. That's not me." She read for another role. She was offered a different role, didn't know the original novel and didn't know about the original ethnicity. Now, here's the thing. This happens all the time in our industry. Being an Asian actor, fairly biased, but whether it's Asian actors or Latino actors, this is a Latino whitewashing. And I'm not going to go down the history of naming names. But I think right off the bat, for someone who is just essentially starting out in the next stage of her career, to say no to an A24 movie, another huge, a prestige film, and say no to the movie that would be a stepping stone, perhaps, and say no right off the bat. I'm hats off to her. Hats off to her. Yeah. If you don't know Odessa A'zion, incredible style, incredible look. She crushes the red carpet. Everyone's so in love with her personality and this freedom. Her mom is the genius Pamela Adlon from Better Things, a brilliant writer-director.
Also the voice of Bobby Hill on King of the Hill, which is pretty incredible.
She's also a friend of Leslie Kahn, deep, close friend of Leslie Kahn, so she's friendly to the studio. So we have all the reasons in the love to support, and I didn't know how she could get any cooler, and she goes ahead and does this. There's many bigger stars that would not say no, which is incredible. It's like, she could take the paycheck. And I don't know, I mean, it's an A24 movie. I don't know how much they would have got paid. But she said no to this high prestige project and didn't feel right with her. So she said no.
I like how excited you get about people.
Thank you. Thank you.
I actually had another little thing to add to last week's debate.
Oh my God. I don't know if I can handle all. I get set off like a time bomb.
It was after we recorded and I was speaking to some people, some other actors, and someone pointed out that, the way, so we're talking about Kevin O'Leary and his sort of stunt casting in Marty Supreme as a non-actor. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he went to see it with his wife, and he was watching his performance, and he thought, oh, okay, he's doing a pretty good job. And then he said there was all these moments in between. He goes, oh, there's no thoughts there. He's missing all of these moments, he said, that we would kill for as actors. All of these little moments. He can do some of it, but he's missing so much of it because he's a non-actor. And the other thing, he was querying, like, how does a director direct a non-actor? How do you give notes to a non-actor when they lack all of the training and experience? And he said you must have to be so result oriented. So you must have to try and be trying to get a result out of them, because they're not going to understand the notes that an actor would sort of inherently understand. And I thought that was a really good point. And I actually think I'm going to go back and watch the movie with that in mind. and
Yeah,
watch his
yeah.
performance, because I think
That's
it's worth.
really interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was a great observation. He's a really good actor. This guy, and he's a good director as well. He's very thoughtful in the way.
Okay.
I like the way that he approaches things. But I just thought that was worth adding to that conversation. That like,
I love this. Okay, so last week we were talking about, a hot button topic for a lot of actors right now is Kevin O'Leary, the stunt casting in Marty Supreme. He plays a 1950s billionaire married to Gwyneth Paltrow, and some people were really kind of surprised and impressed because this is his first time working scripted. We actually, this past week, we threw a little poll on social media about this story. What did you think about Kevin O'Leary's performance in Marty Supreme? Crushed it, hated that he crushed it. Okay, so I think those are pretty accurate 3 possible responses. We got 83% crushed it, and then the rest was I hated that he crushed it. I thought he did pretty well too. I have a lot of thoughts about that, what you just said. I think that's a really nuanced take. I would need to see it again. It's a decent sized role for a non-actor. I thought it was serviceable enough. Granted, he's not Timothée Chalamet carrying the movie. That being said, we also see on mainstream movies and TV, and we talk about this in class. We actually talked about it recently. You often see really good, capable actors missing a lot of things.
Absolutely.
As far as the result-oriented direction, I read that as giving line reads. And I would venture to say they were not doing that. If anything, it was almost the exact opposite of giving line reads. He was very free to improvise with all of the actors. Odessa A'zion specifically says she shows up to set, no blocking. You get onto set, and Josh Safdie, we don't do that here. There's no blocking. You felt the chaos. You felt the energy. Kevin O'Leary all the time would say, well, I mean, I would say this, and I would do this. And I want to say it's very actor-friendly in a way. There was a lot of room to breathe. As far as orchestrating a result or line reads, I wouldn't think that would be the case for that film. The other thing, as far as directing styles and how they worked with actors, I also would like to think that really good directors, sure, they might have their preferences as far as how they communicate with actors, but I think you kind of have to tweak your style working with a bunch of different actors. I'm not sure how that would play in with a stark contrast between actors and non-actors. I mean, there's also a lot of directors who famously give very little direction. So I feel like there's a large spectrum when it comes to that. They say a lot of directors, if they were previously an actor, sometimes they're actor friendly. They would know how to communicate with actors. That being said, a lot of times you have no idea where their experience is, where they studied, their styles. Are they, it could be Meisner, Strasberg, what have you. Some actors like to be left alone. Give them little direction. Don't talk to them too much. They get in their head. I mean, I think it runs the gamut as far as what works best for an individual. So let's talk about this. We have to talk about vertical shorts again.
We don't have to. We're choosing to.
I'm hoping to talk about it because people cannot shut up about it. It's like people are this is my general response to everyone talking to me about vertical shorts. So a couple things about these vertical shorts, microdramas, what have you.
Vertical means that they are shot in portrait mode to be viewed on a phone screen.
Yeah, each episode is like a 1 minute little short, 1 minute and a half, and there's a cliffhanger. It's addictive, and the more you watch, the more you pay. So we talked about this last July. It's amazing how much has changed since then. So if you want to talk about the nuts and bolts of vertical dramas, we talked about it then. These are very addictive soap operas. It really popularized with a lot of Asian dramas. Now it's all the rage here in America. They tend to be a little campy. I Found a Homeless Billionaire Husband for Christmas, How to Catch a Silver Fox. These are the type of titles, right? It's tongue-in-cheek, but people are watching them. 6 months ago, we had this conversation, and also a lot of them were non-union.
Yes.
The question is, Should actors do them? Is this bad for your reputation? All that we're seeing on the breakdowns is vertical dramas. We're so past that. If you're non-union, you probably should be doing vertical dramas. We're so past this because right now the news story, right off the bat, you have Kim Kardashian, Ashton Kutcher investing in a vertical platform production company. They're teaming up with execs from Miramax, Quibi.
Isn't Quibi gone? Didn't Quibi fucking collapse? Yeah.
These are former execs from the studio world. We have Taye Diggs, who doesn't love Taye Diggs, starring in his own and producing his own vertical drama. So in the past 6 months, we should add that projections of this industry is $26 billion by 2030. 2024, it was already $10 billion, right? These valuations are insane, but they are, and then, in China, it's a whole different thing. Expected to hit 16 billion in China alone in 2023, 2030. So there's a lot of money. Needless to say, people are jumping onto this trend, and not only is it becoming more legitimized, months ago, SAG already put out a signatory vertical contract, meaning that depending on the production, SAG actors, SAG AFTRA workers would be able to work on them. So here we are.
Are there currently any union vertical shorts at the moment?
I do not know. I do not know. Well, Taye Diggs has one.
I was just going to say, for actors, for non-union actors, and, I agree. Why not do them if you're non-union? Because they're, it's money. They can make from like $200 to $500 a day ish on these.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. I was saying that if you're a non-union actor, this is what the work is out there. No one has to do anything. This is not a blanket suggestion. I'm going to get into it because it's much more complicated for SAG actors. It just so happens that this crazy trend of acting work that happens to pay anything and then maybe give you exposure on, say, TikTok and all this stuff. I mean, I've done a lot of worse jobs when I was non-union. So as far as the money,
tell us all of them.
I will. As far as the money, it might start at, I think, $300 a day. You might be able to negotiate a little bit. Here's the thing. You're a non-union actor. You might have an agent taking 20%. You might be negotiating on your own. They might ship you to China. You're going to have a ball, but this is what happens with non-union. If you're a superstar and you're a unicorn and a top star for vertical dramas, obviously you can get paid a good amount. But
I've heard like 3,000 a day is one figure that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we heard astronomical things, but to be fair, that's a unicorn. You're not going to go by that and expecting a unicorn.
Yeah, if you have a few million followers on TikTok or Instagram.
Exactly. So, and then also, if you fit the casting, fit the look, and when vertical dramas were start popping off, people were arguing, saying that $200, $300 a day is the same as a SAG ultra low budget rate, right? Obviously, it's a little different because for all those some people might not know this, there are contracts, restrictions, protections on a SAG set, intimacy coordinator, stunt coordinator. There are a lot of things that are involved to protect the safety of the workers. I think that's actually an unfair comparison because if I show up for, you do a day player role on a whatever TV show, and then you'll get paid. SAG daily rate is probably $1,100, $1,200 right now. So it's a little different of a comparison, this idea of SAG ultra low versus a vertical drama. When we start seeing Taye Diggs, SAG is going to put a signatory contract out there because, they're going to see where the money is, and it's perfectly reasonable. If anything, it's mandatory. A production is going to be low budget, churn it out, and the question is how many of these productions are going to be SAG? But you do have Kim Kardashian, Ashton Kutcher. You do have Taye Diggs producing his own, and this is just the start of it. TikTok is creating its own vertical drama platform. Netflix is going to start putting out vertical dramas. The budget is a fraction of what a normal TV show or Hollywood film would be. I mean, we're talking about $75,000 to $100,000 spent on an entire series that's shot in days, released in weeks. This is the new landscape. So for me to say, well, all this is going to be garbage in the end of the entertainment industry, I can't even imagine where this is going, but we're already transitioning where it's being normalized and there's going to be room for a lot of things. And we'll see, maybe there's more SAG work, but this is where the paying work is, as opposed to right now, finding SAG work, I probably have to go to the bayou in New Orleans to find something that's shooting. So
You said that like you're from there.
I know exactly. I was working on that.
We've talked about it, in class and stuff, and I think the general feeling is like, why not do them? You know what I mean? If you're non-union, they're not going to. I think the fear that like you're going to get tagged or it's going to hurt your chances of getting work down the line.
Reputation.
There's so many of them, and they come and go so fast that I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like that's a massive risk. And if you're good,
I agree.
you're good. If you stand out as good in something that's not great, that just reflects well on you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the incentive for companies that churn these out, and it is a lot of companies who churn out a lot of these things because they're the ones with the money to pay the actors to, they can produce a lot of these things.
Yes,
I know
it's quantity versus quality.
Quantity, exactly, yeah. Because I know the people who do them often work with the same company. They'll call them back for the next one and the next one, the next one.
Yeah.
So I don't know what incentive they would have to make them union, depending on how much it costs and how much paperwork is involved. If it's quantity over quality, I don't know if there's a massive incentive to make a really quality product. There will be a market for that, I'm sure. I imagine it will be a smaller percentage of them.
You're completely right. What are the chances you have all these tiny productions, you want to keep it non-union, they're used to cranking them out. What's the incentive for them to make it union? It's just the fact that it's at least possible. You're completely right. We'll see how many SAG productions are going to be made. But people should know this. With every non-union commercial that's out there, with every non-union film or TV show, you can flip the production is basically what it's called. You're a SAG actor. They want you. You say, unfortunately, I can't work this, but if you turn this production SAG, then I can. Now, it might seem crazy, but this happens all the time. And also, if you're really good and they want you, that's your leverage. We had Sean Sharmer on the podcast, and he talked about one of his early big jobs was working commercials, and he was already working with the NFL, I believe. I believe it was the NFL, and they wanted him for another commercial. It was non-union. He asked them to make it SAG, and they did. Everyone wins, and he also made a lot of money from that. So it happens more often than people think.
I don't really have very strong feelings on them. I don't. It's kind of indicative of the way people's attention spans are going. I think it's kind of sad in a way that like this is that we can't sit down and watch a TV show or a movie, or especially younger people. I think younger people struggle with attention because of the way they've grown up with phones and social media and everything else. Like your attention span is in very short bursts, and it tends to be like dopamine hits. And I think that's why that's why they're so popular now, and that's why they're making this kind of money. I don't know. Do you have strong feelings on them one way or the other? Or?
I completely agree. Yeah.
This is a safe place.
Where I gravitated, this is an indication of where our entertainment landscape is. Spoiler alert, it's not getting any rosier. It just so happens there's more non-union work than ever before, besides commercials. And also it's easy to judge them because I wouldn't happen to watch them. So it's not the fact that I wanted to be in it. It was the fact that I'm slowly eating popcorn, watching our entertainment landscape decline into a hellscape. Now, I'm just hoping that we can all get back to watching good film and TV, but this is where the money's going. This is just one of a million things where Hollywood, TV, and film have less attention, less eyeballs, less importance, to be honest. This is just another step in the TikTok influence, the social media content creating influence, and then this on top of it. Meanwhile, studios are, writing off their taxes, and we're hoping that they start producing anything with SAG actors. You know what I mean? So that's the large scoping thing. And it brings up a great point. As much as we love to bash how the tech world has invaded Hollywood with Apple TV and Amazon Studios, I mean, this is kind of an example of the tech world being a little more efficient than what Hollywood usually is. They take small little bites, test something, you tweak it, find something that works, then you mass produce it for better or for worse. I mean, they do it with every tech gadget. They do it with all their algorithms. And this is no different. To be honest, sometimes taking a less of a not as big a swing is actually a pretty good idea. And we have these micro dramas that are just booming with production. Now, but then again, we have to make sure that tech is not going to run Hollywood into the ground, just maximizing its efficiency. And I'm kind of changing my mind. I'm looking for anyone to be producing in Hollywood at all. This is what the chessboard looks like. So now we know how to play the game. And it's also kind of nice for the podcast. If Hollywood's not shooting anything, there's not much to talk about. Pretty soon we're going to have Actor's Guide to Basket Weaving. As an actor, I look at it as, where are you in your career? When I was starting out, I took any job. And to be honest, I think I have no regrets. I shot an indie film. We slept on the beaches of Santa Barbara in tents. We got paid in food and cigarettes. I didn't smoke.
Shit deal for you.
Exactly. I was a month sleeping on the beaches of Santa Barbara. I don't regret it a day. I had the luxury to do that because I was a crazy, idiot guy who just moved to LA. A lot of great NYU fancy actors who are working right now did that movie with me. We're lifelong friends. My point is these are all crazy jobs that 100% you just do it. But now, would I do that?
Would you
I don't
do
know.
that
A
now?
whole month sleeping on the...
Would you do that now?
Now I have a little higher threshold, and this is not a judgment on the product.
Would you get paid in vape juice now as opposed to...
You do a lot of non-union shoots. Eventually, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm getting a little tired of non-union shoots. I don't look at vertical dramas anymore that differently. I feel like it's already been normalized in my head. I look at it as web series.
Yeah.
8 years ago, 10 years ago, everybody and their mom says, create your own show, do your web series, etc. And everyone was like, well, no one really watches web series, but there's some good ones. And then some people actually made money, like Issa Rae. And then, some people got the exposure. It's an opportunity to create something, whether you're the person doing it or not. This is a form that people are watching. And it just so happened, like web series, like I produce a web series and I had a great experience. I wish I did it more and I might do it in the future. So imagine cutting the frame in half and the episodes are a minute and a half. Like, can you make it even less of a barrier to entry? Can you make a web series even easier? That's the beauty of this, where it's like if you and I create a web series tomorrow, we're no different than Taye Diggs jumping into a new format that you're saying, hey, people might watch this. And maybe we won't get paid as much as Taye Diggs and you a fancier lights for a portrait little short. But all these people are jumping into the same waters, seeing, can we make something interesting?
If likening it to web series is actually a good analogy, because I did a web series. I remember doing a web series with people from Second City when I was living in Chicago. I'd just come out of Second City. I did it with some people from my class and some other people, and I'd had an absolute blast doing it and got a comedy reel out of it, which kept me going for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Because I had some comedy material, and if you're making it yourself, it's a different thing than if you're auditioning for existing ones. I think that's it's a different focus and whatever.
Bridging into this conversation, I actually, in the past couple weeks, I am actually going to be creating some projects, and I've gotten inspired to create my own stuff because it's been a while. This might be a perfect time to say this. Catherine O'Hara passed this week. It's still fresh for me, and also I'm watching The Studio.
Gosh, that's
a big shock. It's really sad. We also lost Rob Reiner recently, but Catherine O'Hara, this video came up of this incredible quote that she said. And I just want to leave it here because it actually kind of ties into some of the things that we spoke. So I want to just say this. If you're lucky enough to find out you have a gift and even make a living out of it, it's your job to protect it and nurture that gift and work with people that deserve to work with you with that gift. However you read that, it's actually kind of nice because here I am, and we kind of have look at our acting careers slightly differently, but it's another beautiful reminder, and I'll put the link of the video in the description. It's another beautiful reminder of this is a special thing that we do. This is a special thing that we do, whether it's a vertical drama or not, acting and what we do, creating a story, telling that story. And I thought that was special. And then she was also saying, every new relationship, be aware of the foot you're going in on, how you're presenting yourself. That's the foot you stay on. It's so hard to change that dynamic later on. Now, that was a soundbite. That could be a relationship. That could be first day on the job. That could be talking to younger actors. How are you presenting yourself? And being clear with relationships in your life. That's a very large scoping comment, but I thought that was beautiful too.
Yep.
So,
I saw an interview, or saw an interviewer asked her just in a clip. He said, "What role would you most like to be remembered for?" And she goes, "Mother to my children." Like it wasn't even a question.
God.
She just seemed like a wonderful person as well, from everything I've read about her recently. And I mean, she's an icon. So
good. I love that. I love that quote.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Anyway, so that's a good little place, right?
Yep, absolutely. Hidden gems. So my hidden gem for this week, in honor of this conversation, these guys are not hidden at all. They're well known. But if you're not clued into the improv world, you may not have heard of them. They're an improv duo called TJ and Dave. That's TJ Jagodowski and David Pasquazi. And they're incredible. I mean, they're just, if you get the chance to see them, take that chance. They perform out of Chicago, but they also tour. They perform in New York sometimes. I've been fortunate enough to see them in a number of places. One of them is a good friend of mine, and I just, they're incredible. They do like a sort of a 1 hour, completely improvised show, which will start with a line of dialogue. They're so, it's I can't even describe it. It's phenomenal. And Stephen Colbert described them one time. He said, one of these guys is the best improviser in the world, and the other one's even better. And they're just that's a great incredible way. So that's my improv not hidden at all gem, but just in case
they still actively perform every so often.
They do absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So TJ and Dave, there you go.
That's awesome. I have a hidden gem, and it just so happens to be at the time where everyone is sick. When I need a little health boost, I basically make this concoction. You slice a bunch of chopped ginger, garlic. You smash a couple garlic cloves in it. If you don't like garlic, you could kind of do without the garlic, but garlic is a huge health remedy. And you boil it in water with some lemon juice. Okay, so you boil it in water, and then you take it off the boil and you let it simmer, cover it so it doesn't completely evaporate. So you let that simmer real good so all the ginger gets there in this concoction. And then you pour it in a cup, you make your own home brewed tea, and then for taste, at the end, you put in honey. I do it all the time. I suggest it to everyone. It's my favorite health remedy. Also, I got a bonus hidden gem here. This is in honor of, if anyone's a tennis fan, there's this epic Australian Open final that's going to happen. It didn't happen by the time that we're recording this, but Australian Open final of Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz. Two of the best in history are battling it out. Anyway, so Carlos Alcaraz was recently battling cramps in a match during the tournament, and he's known to drink pickle juice. Pickle juice, if you do not know, if you hate pickles, sorry. Pickle juice is known to help alleviate muscle cramps. Supposedly it's faster than water alone. I have no idea how the science behind it, but it supposedly stops neural signaling for cramping. So if you're an athlete, if you're cramping up, try pickle juice. I actually like pickle juice, so I don't really mind that, but it's kind of interesting and it's popular with athletes. So there you go. Bonus health hidden gems, everyone.
All right, pals.
That's it, everyone.
See you next week. That's our show.
Be safe out there.